Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I have another arty sort of video for you, but it is looking through my GCSE textiles coursework. So for my GCSEs I took art, textiles, geography and French, as well as the usual maths, science and English. So I've already showed some of my artwork, but I thought it would be quite interesting to show my textiles work because I've had a couple people comment and say they'd really like to see it. So yeah, I got an A star in textiles, which I was absolutely over the moon with. I was 2 marks off full marks for my coursework, so really pleased with it, and I thought it would be a good idea to show you today. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first page in my textiles coursework folder was a task analysis page. I was on the board AQA for textiles, and we were basically given lots of different tasks that we could have pursued throughout our coursework. I chose to focus on the swinging 60s, so here I've just taken the statement from the specification, and the design task that I chose was asking me to make a textile product. So it didn't specify like whether it had to be something that you could wear, or it could have been like a pillow or, you know, something like that. It didn't have to be an item of clothing. So it was to make a textile product for 18 to 23 year olds, taking inspiration from the swinging 60s, and the product was to be sold at music festivals. So I basically, here I wrote about what I was going to intend to be doing, so features that would make it suitable for a music festival. So maybe it would be good if it was waterproof because it rains quite often, or like having pockets could be quite useful so people don't have to take a bag, and how I was going to include inspiration from the swinging 60s. So then here I've just got 2 little spider diagrams, one saying swinging 60s and one saying music festival, because they were 2 key terms in the task analysis, so I just sprung some ideas from that. Then at the top here I have a mood board, so this is all inspired by music festivals and swinging 60s, just to get some ideas of patterns and textures and designs. And then here I've done some existing design research. So I went online and had a look at things that already exist that would be suitable for music festivals and that could be taking inspiration from the swinging 60s. So basically existing designs that could fit with the brief of my task. Then I did a product analysis. So I chose to do this play suit because I saw it and I thought that I could make something similar to that in like a play suit style. So I have just analysed this garment. This was from Topshop. So I've written about the appearance, target market, cost, materials, function and my overall opinion. And this was good to get an idea of what I could create. Then I've done some target market research. So this was a really key piece of work in my folder. So basically I went around and asked a couple of people different questions that would help me figure out what could make my garment good. So some of the questions are like, what colours would you like to wear? How much would you normally spend on a garment? When I say swinging 60s, what sort of things spring to mind? So the whole way through the folder, what's really important is to keep your brief in mind. So constantly linking it back. For me, it was constantly linking it back to music festivals and swinging 60s and 18 to 23 year olds, making sure that I was fitting the brief of all of those things. And then down here, I've got 2 images of girls at music festivals and the sort of things they wear, just to get some more inspiration. Then here I've done a comparative shop report, so basically taking garments from different shops and comparing them in the cost, description and value for money. And then I've done a customer profile, so basically writing about who I'm aiming my garment for, and a shop profile where I'm saying where I'm aiming it to be sold. Then we're moving on to research analysis and design criteria. So in my research analysis, I'm basically saying what pieces of research I have carried out so far. So I did the mood board, existing design research, product analysis, target market research, comparative shop and customer and shop profile. So I wrote about why I did all those things and how it's helped me to think of ideas for my garment. And then I've done a design criteria, which is basically saying what my design needs to include in order for it to fit the brief, and things like materials, safety, quality. So then I moved on to my initial ideas, and I did these in black and white. So I just did them in pencil just to get some basic ideas down. So I did a kimono, then I designed a top with shorts and a top with a skirt, taking inspiration from different features of my mood board. Then based on these designs, I created some decorative techniques. This was different sequins and beads, different sequins and beads sewn in the shape of a peace sign, because from my research, I discovered that peace signs were like a big thing in the hippie movement of the swinging 60s, so that was something I was quite keen to include. So I've also done some applique of peace signs here, and then some sponge printing, and then I've also done some sponge printing with embroidery around the outside, and this is a flower taking inspiration from the brand of Mary Quant, which was really popular in the 60s. Then here I've done some more decorative techniques. So this is fabric transfer printing on like a satin material, and then this is some more of a peace sign, and then these are just some sequins. Then here I've practiced doing some gathering and some different decorative stitching. So here I've done some more ideas, and these are in colour just to get more of a feel for it. Again, making sure I was linking back to the theme. And some further coloured ideas, and I annotated around all of them as much as possible, writing about what fabrics I could use, what decorative techniques I could use, and things like that, and how it links to swinging 60s. And then here's some even further designs. And throughout all of my designs, I started to get an idea for what I wanted to create. So these are all sort of similar in the colours and the fact they all have peace signs on. So throughout my all of my designs, I realised I really wanted to have peace signs on, and I wanted to go for these sort of colours like blues, purples and pinks. And so definitely doing lots of different designs definitely helped. So I would recommend doing that if you're taking textiles. Then I did some more fabric samples. So this is taking one of the patterns that was really popular in the 60s with the triangles and just sewing them together. This is some more gathering. This is like a simple version of gathering. And then this is how to sew in an invisible zip. This was so difficult to do, but I did end up using one in my final piece. Yeah, so it's definitely good to practice it. And then even more samples. So this was a really popular pattern in the 60s, so I just practiced putting this together, and I used like a white cotton fabric, and then just sponge printed it pink and black. Then I've done some more gathering, and I dyed some different fabrics because I wasn't sure whether I was going to use like this satin material or whether I was going to use cotton, and I wasn't sure what colour out of blue or pink, so I just tried out some different options and then wrote about it there. So then I designed my final idea. So this is what my final idea looked like. I decided to go for a two-piece, so I was going to do a bardeau off the shoulder top because that was really in fashion at the time that I took textiles, and then I wanted to do some high-waisted flowy shorts to go with it, and I tried to include as many decorative techniques as possible. So I've got some sponge printing with the peace signs, and then some applique around the middle with the flowers, and then a little invisible zip at the back, and I wanted to have flowy sleeves. So there was quite a lot that I wanted to include on my design, and then I wrote about the materials that I was going to use and the features of it and how it linked to music festivals and swinging 60s. Anything that is highlighted in blue is talking about like ethical issues or social issues that could happen with my design, or environmental issues. Then I did a manufacturing specification. So this was basically saying how long, the different stages of making. So making a toile, which is basically like a paper version, and then cutting out the fabric, making the pattern pieces, construction, decorative techniques. So anything that would be stages of making, and then how long it could take to make each thing. We had 6 weeks in which to make our garment, and that was lesson time. And that was during lessons. And then here I've just made a little plan of all the different pattern pieces that I'm going to need and how I could lay these out on the fabric to make sure that I make use of all of the fabric and I'm not wasting any. So this was in order to be like environmentally friendly. Then I did a flow chart of making. So this basically I was adding to constantly throughout making. So whenever I had to make a decision, I would add this in. If you're not sure how to make a flow chart, then you can pause this and have a little read, or I don't mind doing a video on it. Basically, these diamond shapes is when you're asking a question and then you either have a no or a yes. And then these boxes are like things that you've done. And you always start and finish with a little oval shape. Then I did some fabric testing. So I decided I wanted to use satin because it's not as expensive as silk, but it still has the same sort of effect. So it looks luxurious and it feels really nice and comfortable. So I tested how easy it was to sew, how easy it was to wash, if it frayed easily, if it ironed well. This was 2 versions of ironing. The first one I burnt a hole in because I had the iron on too hot, so then I tried it again and this one worked a lot better. So then I wrote about the fact that you can't have the iron on too hot with this garment. Then I created a diary of making. So these are all the different dates and what I did on each date during my lessons, and around the outside I've got lots of different images showing my progression of making what I was doing, just to prove that it was actually me that made it. This is just something that our teacher suggested that we do, just so the examiner can see that it was actually us that made it. Then I tested out my product. So I made some specification points that needed to happen in order for it to fit my brief. So was it suitable for 18 to 23-year-olds? Does it have elements from the swinging 60s? And I wrote about why my garment does fit the specification. I also wrote about costings. So I added up how much it cost to make my garment and then added on 30%, and this is what it could be sold at. And user opinions. So I got 4 different opinions from different people and wrote down what they said about my garment. And these are just some pictures of me wearing my garment from different angles. Then I compared my product to an existing product. So this idea was quite similar to mine in the style of it. So I compared the style with that. I compared the top with this, and I compared the shorts with this one. And then I've got a product analysis report. So writing about the aesthetics, the quality, the environmental issues, health and safety, social, moral and cultural issues. Did I make any changes to my original design, and further development modifications? So things that I would do differently if I was to do it again. And that is everything in my folder. So I'll show you my garment. So this was my final design. So this is the top, and it's elasticated in the neckline, so it wears off the shoulder. And I did some sponge printing of peace signs on the arms, and then put a hem around to make it nice and neat. And then these are the shorts, which were gathered at the waistband, so it was quite flowy at the bottom, and it also has an invisible zip along one edge so people can get it on. And then again, like with the top, it has these sponge printed peace signs, so it links through, and it's like a light blue colour that I dyed because it was originally white. So yes, a lot of effort went into my textiles folder. I remember staying after school for hours and hours, but I really like coursework subjects because at the end of the day you actually get something that you can keep and you can be proud of. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and you've enjoyed looking through my textiles folder, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!